Well, today is a very good day because we're doing a laugh and learn about understanding our personal baseline. Now, you're going, what is that, Gerald? And why are we talking about that? Well, my guest, meeting Betsy Palmer, and I, TarotStache, will be telling you about it and why it's important, how to do it. And this is part 1 of 2 parts because we've already scheduled the next one for December 2nd. So that's, I believe, in 2 weeks. So.
Oh, how is that possible?
I know. I'm pretty sure. Yep. 2 weeks.
Holy cow.
Yes,
Time is flying.
Yeah. So, Betsy, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. I was sharing with Gerald backstage that I actually had a full weekend off, Saturday and Sunday, and I have been out with friends the entire time, and I'll be meeting up with them again just after our chat. Yeah.
I love that. That's great. And
wait, and how are you today, sir?
I am doing okay. I spent some time with some good friends yesterday, and it was nice to be able to share space with people in real life. And I've got some shows scheduled for this week, which are very exciting. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I do need to remind everyone, this is for entertainment purposes only. Do not make decisions based upon what we say. Seek professional assistance. Really. So, and like and subscribe to the channels. All of the links are below, including how you can show your support. And if you are so inclined, if you want some TarotStache merchandise, the merch store is up and the link is in the description. So, cheers. Pretty soon, I'm not going to need to have a mustache up behind me or anything like that. It's crazy. So.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm eyeing up that pink unicorn long sleeve t-shirt. I think I'm going to send those to my sister's house, and so we can have matching t-shirts for our sister's adventure next spring.
Ooh, I love that. We have some of the best chatters here. So hello, best chatters. We also have work lurkers. We have the best lurkers, and we also have future lurkers who are joining us. And so thank you, everybody, for being here. Beth was first in, Nalani, Kaylee, Laura Hammond Davis, Russ Bob's Barbara, Deanne Blue Crescent Terra, who is unpacking groceries. Maru is here, and we have Zane, Tarot Token Witchery. Hello, Zane. Chris from Elemental Cartomancy. Good to see you.
Thank you. Yes, all for being here, joining our little chat.
I'm very happy about that. And Chris from Elemental Cartomancy and I have a deck casual scheduled for November 28th, which is Thanksgiving here in the United States. But we're doing deck casual on the Wiser Tarot. So stay tuned for that. So, all right. This came up during our conversation about what is a spirit guide, didn't it?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yep. And so I'm going to start with this question. What is a baseline, and why is it important to know your personal baseline?
Yes. And Nalani popped a question in. Did you star that one?
Not yet, but I will.
Yeah. My mom.
Is there a difference between baseline and boundaries?
Yeah. Great question. Perfect way to start us off. Yes. I believe so. Gerald? What say you?
I believe so as well, because baseline for me is how you are, and boundaries are how you keep yourself safe where you are. The baseline is you as an individual. The boundaries are things outside what you let in and what you don't let in.
Yep. Well said. Perfectly well said. So For me, this came up because this comes up in session work for me a lot with people that are either just coming into a heightened awareness of their intuitive abilities or want to develop them more. And I was sharing with Gerald backstage, a lot of times people talk about psychic events that happen to them instead of, here's how I connect psychically with my whomever it may be. And in talking with these folks about understanding how they receive information, I've noticed that some people are quite frightened because things seem to happen to them and it's outside of their control or their abilities. And I think it's just a matter of shifting your understanding of what's going on and understanding yourself a little bit better. It's kind of like any other self-awareness, like your personality types. There's lots of ways to test personality types, and even zodiac to a certain extent, and human design and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
You're trying to decode the different methods of understanding who you are, decoding the mystery of who you are, and this is another helpful step in doing that.
Yeah, I think that's a really key thing, because when we this is something that you do, it's like, how do you receive information? What's your natural tendency? And I think about the shows that I've done over the last 3 years. A lot of them are exploring and understanding ourselves, just different ways to process it. Like you said, astrology, human design, Enneagram, numerology, all sorts of different things.
And Western psychology.
Yes.
I mean, that's a component as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And Chris said, helpful to think of it in the context of a building. The baseline or the foundation is the general makeup, what it stands on and what it falls back on. The boundaries are the limits. Nicely said, Chris.
Yeah, really well
said. And okay, and Alani also asked, do baselines change the way boundaries sometimes do? Ooh.
That's a great question, and I believe that. Okay, so let me say this. When I do session work with people, and with any time doing communication with non-physical entities of any sort, or sometimes, even physical entities. Yeah. Okay. I always do the grounding and centering first, ceremony first, and clearing prayer. And if I'm working with people in a session, I will ask them, how did that feel? Because part of it is when we tap in and fill ourselves full of light, I give people a moment to contemplate what it feels like moving through their body. And I think that's an understanding how that energy is moving through you. If you can describe that, it's a step in becoming familiar with what's key, what's true for you. And I think I'm not sure that changes a whole lot. I'm not saying it can't change. Maybe it feels like electricity today. Maybe it feels like water tomorrow. But I'm not saying that doesn't change. But at least it's a consistent place to begin, to get grounded and centered. It's a really good place to begin. And then the next step for that is, what information is coming through and how is it coming through? And that's when we start kind of getting into the clairs.
Oh, yes. And Nalani said, great explanation. Thanks. And I would also have to say is as you're describing that, you're working with someone. And Betsy does have a book that's available on Amazon. It's the exercises from her stuff. Purchase responsibly, know your limits. I'm not trying to tell you this, but this resource is in the beginning, we may not have the words or the ability to vocalize what it feels like. And I think that's part of where it does evolve. It's our ability to understand what it is, and how we can describe it to others and appreciate it and the beauty. So, hey, Deb.
Hi. And also, a lot of people, when we tap in and come out and I ask them, what was that like? How did that feel? They're like, oh, I do that all the time. But they don't understand what it is. I do it all the time. What is it? Or some people have never had an awareness of it before, and they're like, oh my God, that was amazing. But just to be able, like Chris was talking about, building the blocks of foundation, to be able to piece together a framework, a frame of reference. That's what this is. If I want to repeat this experience, here's one way I can do that.
Well, and also it's, for somebody says, oh, I do that all the time. What then is an opportunity for learning is that not everyone does. And that's a key thing, because I remember having experiences myself and, trying to explain that to people. Oh, it's just this thing that I do and blah, blah, blah. And, that's how it sounded to me, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, people are like going, what? I mean, I've been working for years to try to do that. And I'm like, really? So there is a uniqueness about it. And I think the idea of a personal baseline, it's personal. It's what works for you, and it's a culmination of many things, and it's an expansion of many things, and a weaving together of all of those things. So more people have come in: Sue Toffee, Purple Elephant, Garnet, Anja. Why can I never say their name right? Sorry. So Kiba is here. It's great to see everybody. So thank you.
And please feel free to join the chat. And
yes, please do. Nalani said, I can remodel my boundaries. My baseline contains my history.
That's pretty good description there. Yeah.
Yeah. Nicely said. Nicely said. So I like that idea as my understanding and my experience broadens, it gives me more opportunities to articulate. And that's where sometimes an artist, whether they be an artist with musical notes, with paint, with movement, the strength and how one develops that, we learn baseline skills. In color class, I learned the basics of the color. And then I got to explore how they work together, and then what that feels like for me. So, but yeah.
And in all honesty, there's an element for me about being okay with myself, because, there's a lot of people in the world that want to tell you that psychic abilities are a disease of the mind and that if you're receiving information, or if you're feeling a certain connection to something non-physical, that it's unnatural, that it's unhealthy, that you're at risk, that you're not okay. The word crazy is banished in my work, because it is oftentimes the word crazy and the word gifted are interchangeable. It just depends, you talk to this sect of people and you're crazy, and if you talk to this sect of people, you're an amazingly gifted psychic intuitive. So those kinds of things can be interchangeable. And I think diffusing fear with this kind of simple exercise about understanding how energy is moving through you, what that feels like, how do you feel connected to a higher source? Is it a gift for you, or is it frightening for you? Unpacking it, if nothing else, can just help you feel more comfortable with yourself by understanding yourself better. If you don't like this stuff, if it's not for you, you don't have to participate, period. And it's okay. Mm-hmm. It's not for everyone. And not to be hard on yourself if you do receive things differently from other people, or what's going on with you doesn't follow along with the way other methodologies are being taught. It's understanding you.
I think that's really important, because I want to, and these topics, there's a lot of conscious expansion going on in the world right now. And I think part of what is going on is if it doesn't feel right to you now, pause long enough to consider why it doesn't feel right to you, and then make an informed choice about, okay, I'm not going to do that. That's not for me. No judgment, because you're taking care of yourself. And if you're like me, it's going to show back up. And I'm going to, after I've had some life experiences, to help broaden my perspective. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So I like that. This is an understanding our baseline is a key thing for diffusing fear for ourselves, and fear that others may have, that they don't understand it. And when those close to us don't understand it, it's especially challenging to feel safe enough to express what you're feeling, because people are afraid of what they don't understand. And so they fight against it instead of being willing to take in new information. Hi, Pamela.
We were talking a little bit about this in relationship to family roles backstage. I believe that plays a big part. And I almost want to break out in laughing, but it's kind of disrespectful, so I'll admit that. But where you were in your family role, were you the scapegoat? I mean, it's just so common, because that person is doing all the emotional processing, all the emotional heavy lifting for everybody else around them. So This is how we learn to read the room. We pick up on energies. We sense things. We know things. And that is it. It's a coping mechanism. Sure, we're trying to keep ourselves safe, but we needed to keep ourselves safe. We needed to be able to do that.
Yes.
And so if you were the family empath, change the word so it's not triggering. Let's call ourselves the family empath. If we were the family empath, instead of the typical label that we get of, oh, you're too sensitive, you need to toughen up, I believe, can do ourselves justice by saying empathy is our superpower.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like that. Words matter. And the association of if it's positive or negative, we can change that. We can adjust that. And so I think that's a key thing. There have been many times in history where people have shown up and they've taken a word such as queer and have turned it into something positive and extremely powerful.
Yeah. So as we were backstage, I was kind of glancing over. Oh, well, hey. Hi.
Yeah. Yep. There you go.
So I was kind of looking through my workbook, and how do you know if you are the family empath, right? And how do you know if you're reading a situation? And now, in all honesty, I had not looked through this for a while. I was kind of afraid to. But the way that the guides had me reference it is think of reading a situation like taking a taste of a beverage. You know right away if you like it or not. Then you unravel the subtleties of the ingredients, and deciphering energy is really similar. We know it right away. If we taste it and we don't like it, we know it right away.
Mm-hmm.
And we do not want to ingest that as we read it. We don't want to take that home with us. We want to sample, understand, appreciate, bless, and let it go to its highest good.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, well, those guides, they're some smart little rascals, aren't they? Because it sure isn't me. But right, how easy is that? Take a taste of a beverage, man. You know right away if you want another taste or not.
Right.
And so energy can be the same way.
That's so true. And I think it's simple and it's complicated.
Simple and easy are two different things.
Simple and easy are two different things. Yes. And Nalani said, my favorite word lately is reframe.
Mm-hmm.
And Pamela said, I think another word like that is bitch. Reframing that. Yes.
Yes.
And Donna, Artist in Oracles, is here. Hello, work lurking. Glad to have you here.
I'm here.
Yeah. Words are magic. How I understand it, how we have our thoughts speak the words. Yes, words matter. And I think that's, words matter, as does the way we look at the skills that we have. I like saying it's a superpower.
Yeah. My guides are showing me something I have to share because I don't know who it's for, but they just told me building sentences is like crocheting. You start out with a ball of yarn and a hook, and I'm just seeing the string lengthening, and as we keep talking, all of a sudden, poof, it's a sweater.
Nice. Okay.
So, and words are the same. We're creating our desired outcome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Imelda says, I also catch myself reading or feeling a room energy like entering a get-together or restaurant. I catch myself glancing around the place before I completely step in. That sounds like a very reasonable and wise thing to do. So
yeah, love it.
Yeah, love it. And Beth shared, words matter. My former career depended on it. Of course, yes.
Yeah.
So, well, and so I understanding our baseline, it's not, I think it's a key thing. It's just understanding and being aware of our baseline. We are not evaluating it. We're just understanding it. Because what works for Betsy does not work for me. And what works for me does not work for Betsy. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. So I think
and if you don't like it, work on it.
Yes.
Right. So, and one of the things that I like to talk about a lot is we Clair audience, because we're taught from a very young age in America anyway. I'm not sure about UK. Chris, you can let us know. But in America, if you are hearing things in your head, you're crazy and there's something wrong with you. And if you say it to a medical professional, they get really excited really quickly. So if you are not comfortable receiving information through Clair audience, and that seems to be what's happening, how can we work with our spiritual team to develop other senses that may be a more comfortable fit for you? I believe that is an option for us. I don't think we're limited to only being one thing, one way. If Clair, clairvoyance, if you prefer that. So like seeing is believing. That's what we're taught. Seeing is believing. If that's a more comfortable place for you, work with your team in stillness and meditation and journaling and whatever it is that works for you to see if this is an option for you, a more comfortable and available option.
Yes.
That is where, when Nalani was saying, can we change these things? I believe that's where the growth opportunity is limitless.
Yeah. Hi, MLR. Good to see you. Pamela said, I learned late in my career in working with chronic ill people. We talk a lot about baseline. Current thinking is that every time you have an exacerbation, you never return to your baseline. Okay. And it's like medical professionals are on a need-to-know basis for me. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I was 69, 70 before I knew I was empathic. My boss and work manager were both narcissists, and there were at least 75 to 100 people walking through our gallery every day. I was toast going home nightly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Get that. Totally get that.
Yeah. And that's also why is just understanding, what the baseline is important, because then when we go, when we have these situations to where we are overwhelmed, we can go, okay, I need to get back to this, or I can use this. It's part of that toolbox conversation we've been having. So, same here. To quote Harry Potter, even in the wizarding world, hearing voices isn't a good sign. So, and Jane the Seeker is here, and by the way, it's Tuesdays with TarotStache exclusively on Jane the Seeker tomorrow. So, says hello to everyone. So, but I you had mentioned the Clairs. Now, we've talked about Clairs before, and I always love this, Betsy. It's fun for me to say, well, Betsy and I've already talked about this. Betsy and I've talked about this. And it is just sort of weaving it together and picking and choosing of what works. And we're not going to go through all of the Clairs, but the Clairs are those things those are the senses that are outside of general 3D perception. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and so if it's, well, and I know there are some people who, when you hear voices, that's sort of a family thing.
Mm-hmm.
People are, oh, you've got that, you hear, you have the voice, you have the gift. And I like how they yeah. And I like how they say it's a gift. You've got that gift.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it is really the framework for it. It's how we talk about it.
Yeah. So, yeah. Absolutely.
So, that
was your first prompt we covered, right?
Thank you. What's a baseline and why is it important to know about your personal baseline? I think we've talked about that.
Like it.
And how do you receive information? And this goes back to that. When you're working with people and you're supporting them as they grow and evolve and lean in, I think that's beautiful. And by the way, I think the way we receive information can grow and evolve as we do.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. What things might one consider when identifying a baseline? And Claire sounds nice. Don't think I know her. Of course, Chris. It's the same thing with it. Claire lives in the house next to Sam Hain. lives down the street from Sam.
Yeah.
So, and
I thought they were an item, Claire and Sam Hain.
oh, that's a good point. That's a very good point. I like that. So
yeah, that is a good one.
Is it a matter of watching the beginning? Is what a matter of. I don't know how to find my baseline. We're talking about how you might find your baseline. We're talking, and so what we're talking about now, Jane, are things one might consider when identifying a baseline. That's all. So you haven't missed anything.
Nope, not at all.
So
yeah. So for me, when I'm with clients, the first thing we always do is grounding, centering, and saying my clearing prayer. So I will ask people to get quiet, to just take a few relaxing breaths, whatever that looks like for them. And then just begin to notice their internal landscape. And that's all. I keep it very general. Just notice your internal landscape. And while you're there, bring your focus to your heart. And I get the white light going in the heart space, and then ask people to notice how it expands to fill the chest, torso, all extremities, top of the head to the tips of toes and fingers, and give people a few breaths to sit in that white light. And then I ask them to imagine what that feels like within their body. And I offer suggestions of electric current, water, buzzing. It may feel warm and tingly, whatever it feels like to you. And I give people a minute to just sit there. That's it. And then I use that awareness of how the energy feels within them. We send it down to Mother Earth to ground and have her send her roots up to protect us, and then send that same energy to Father Sky, have him also come in with his white light and clearing too, and wisdom too. And then I have the Mother and Father meet within us. And then that is the space I give people, again, a few breaths to just sit in that space. Mother and Father and us sharing breath in harmony within us. And to come out, when we come out, I'll give people a prompt to come back out, and then to ask them how that felt, to describe what that felt like. And to me, that is really it. I don't think for me, I need anything other than that simple exercise. And it can be less than 5 minutes. It just depends on someone I'm working with or the situation I'm in and how I am feeling in the moment. It can be super fast. But that to me is what works for me in arriving back to my baseline and my center.
So it really is about grounding and centering to help things line up for you.
Yeah, because when I'm in a twirl, and I'm there a lot, guys, when I'm in a twirl, like this morning, and my head is running on, should I have said that? Should I have done this? Why am I like that? La, 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 la. I do that, my little grounding centering. I come back to my baseline and ask myself, how do I prefer to be at this moment? And it will bring me back to it, because when I'm in a twirl, man, I am just yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for being honest about that. There's that. I think we'll also talk being about the twirl a little bit tomorrow for the laugh and learn about, dealing with the gray area of life.
Everybody's favorite.
Yeah. So can I tell you, I had an interesting vision, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn.
No,
but Betsy, I got people. You are a wonderful support and space holder for people to experience their baseline as it is now, because you are so You are withholding of judgment. You actually radiate this clarity about you. That's how I experience Betsy. And there's a sense of safety because you've also done the work and you continue to do the work of you being who you are, and evolving. So, I mean, and so, and tell me if I'm wrong, but people could contact you and schedule something to do this with you. And and again, I'm not trying, Betsy does not know that I'm saying that, but I don't know about you all, but hearing that and having someone just go, just do this, just do this. All you have to do is notice. It makes it okay for you to notice the little leprechaun in the corner that is sitting there blowing bubbles because that makes you giggle. And it's part of the communication. So I am going to catch up in the chat. Are you okay with that I said that, Betsy? Because I can't take it back.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Safety, yes, that is Betsy. Sometimes when I think the world is ending, I just think about Betsy.
Oh.
Goodness. And so we have had some amazing people, in the chat and talking. Maybe an astrology reading is a baseline for some. Absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's a part of it too, because honestly, Nalani, when I'm upset with myself, because I can be loud and rude and crude and crass, and man, I say some stuff, you guys just don't know the race tracker, the old race tracker that I am. And I didn't find myself saying things. I said something yesterday and I looked at my friend and said, hey, I'm a quadruple Leo. I can't help it. And she was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. But right. Personality traits are and understanding that is so helpful when you don't know, why do I do these things? Go to every resource possible and get the reading about every single thing. Take the quiz, take the test. Absolutely. It's just so empowering to understand yourself, even if it's this much.
Yes, because this much is more than what you had before. I will also say is yes, take all of those quizzes. Just don't keep taking them as an avoidance for trying to look at it and to figure out what it all means for you. I love this. Apparently, my tribe is here. All right. All right.
And also to remember to be gentle with yourself, right? It's just... we're not talking about striving for perfection here. We're just talking about understanding and being gentle with yourself, because if you're mad at yourself today for some oversight from yesterday, remember you have a chance to make a different choice tomorrow.
Yes.
And it's really about asking yourself, what do you choose for yourself?
I appreciate you because when I was in postgraduate work in psychotherapy and Gestalt, it was never good or bad. It was just different, because that different choice gives you a whole opportunity of answers. Pamela says, is your baseline linear, always moving in one direction? I'm going to jump in on that, and I'm going to say, Pamela, as I understand it now, if you were to ask me 2 years ago, I would have said yes. As I understand it now, no, it's multidimensional for me. It's always growing and evolving. And that's what makes it so important to check in periodically and to go, okay, where are we? What's going on? What of my superpowers is rising to the top that I have now? And what needs to take the passenger seat? What do you think about Pamela's question?
Well, my mind is kind of expanding out, because I agree with what you said about multidimensional. And I thought, well, how would I describe it? And when I am sitting in that connected space, that love soup space, and I am feeling the energy in my body, what if I didn't like the way it felt? What would I do? Could I request something other than what I'm experiencing and what might serve me better? And I think, Pamela, bringing that question to your guides and asking them, is my baseline always moving in a direction? Because I don't know that I mean, I can feel a vertical, I can feel a horizontal, but it's moving and radiating and constantly just always on the move. So I think it just feels like, I don't know how to describe it, because I would want to say it's omnipotent, but that doesn't describe a direction. It's just everything everywhere. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I would, and Kaylee says, I picture it like an EKG.
Oh, that's cool.
And to go back to this, Pamela, your baseline may be linear, mine may not be. Neither are better than the other. They're just different. If your capacity to understand is linear, then that works well for you. But if you have the ability to see the world in transparencies, like I do, oh, this relates to this, this relates to this, it can work. Pamela said, I'm still trying to understand what you are meaning by your baseline, and I was a bit late. I was equating linear like the arrow of time.
Okay, here. So I can, maybe this will help. I'll just kind of review this is
Yes.
to get into your still space, try nervous system a little bit calm down, get into your still space. And I have my clients go to their heart and picture a white light, fill up the inner landscape with white light completely, top, head, tips, toes, fingers, and then notice what it feels like in your inner landscape. And that sensation is my reference point to baseline. Because I believe that you are interpreting what the energy moving within your inner landscape feels like at that point. So that's what we're talking about.
I would love it for some time for you to be able to do that meditation and post it on your channel.
Oh, it's on there. It's
on there. Okay.
It's on there more than once.
We'll find it, but that's so good. And maybe if you're willing, maybe we could do that exercise next time in part 2 to help people.
Oh, let's do it. Because it's so much fun. Yeah. It's really a lot of fun. I haven't had a single person come out of it and respond upset or anxious or frightened or anything. Well, I did have one friend who didn't like it. She felt out of control, but she had OCD and she really struggled with a lot of stuff. So I guess that's, so it's not quite 100%, but it's pretty consistent. Most people enjoy the experience. Yeah.
Pamela said, okay, thank you. I just never considered that a baseline before. I like that.
Yeah. It just frame of reference, just a frame of reference.
And Chris asked, is the context here mediumship, psychic impression? So a baseline for receiving messages, is that what we're talking about? Nope.
Oh, well, maybe to a certain extent, because as we were talking about in the beginning, this is typically comes up in people in some kind of an awakening process or intuitive development process, and they receive psychic impressions somehow or other. And some people feel out of control or like something is happening to them. It's thrust upon them. So a lot of times it is helpful for this exercise for people to understand what does it mean that this is coming through. Do you have to do this to receive? No. Do you have to do this to be psychic or medium? No, you don't have to. This is simply a self-awareness tool, in my opinion. That was what I wanted to talk about today. Just so people out there, whoever may find this, that stuff happens. They don't understand it, when it's going to happen, why it's going to happen, feeling out of control, feeling like it's something that's happening to them from outside of themselves. And if that is uncomfortable for you, to help get some understanding, just unpack some understanding about what this process is.
Chris, I really appreciate your question, because I guess I also think about it, and this is the universe slapping me upside the head, going, Gerald, you could meditate a bit more if you would like, because it would help you understand your baseline. Stop looking at me like that, Betsy, because I keep hearing that.
Meditate every day. It's a blue moon. I sit down and meditate.
But I guess Chris's question is, it's a baseline for being your authentic self and appreciating that, I think, because part of it is if you know how, if you're where you are and you're right there, things, numbers are easier. I can do math when I do that. I've seen pictures or videos of parents helping their children release their frustration, and they do it just by a bit of a meditation or a little bit of swaying or something like that. And it's like, okay, now I can think I'm back to my balance. I'm back to my balance. Okay. More people. Go ahead, Betsy.
So just stepping back to Chris's great question is, the reason I do this with everybody that comes is because most people that want a face-to-face here with me, most of them are wanting spirit guide communication or a mediumship session. And most of them will say they've had experiences before and they don't really understand it. And so I explain to them that walking through that little grounding centering deal is what I do to make sure our area is safe and we set our boundaries. And also just to take some of the mystery out of it, right? Get people connected to that inner world a little bit, and they can say, oh, okay, that's no big deal. Some people are really freaked out when they come to see me. Some people are frightened. Some people are haunted. Some people are have had bad experiences they can't explain, or uncomfortable experiences they can't explain, and they're afraid. And it's just kind of a little, like a gentle dip in the pool.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, boundaries equal balance equal center place, meditation setting. If that works for you, I mean, because it obviously works for me. I can't sit still. So, yeah, that peace, Pamela was saying.
Yeah.
There's a sense of peace. And T. Lynn also says, yes, have said things that have happened in my past were not good or bad. They just simply were, because it was my norm. So, okay. Just getting caught up on the chat. Beautiful chat, by the way, everybody. I mean, Sutafi said, I know when my balance is crossed only when I react in anger and blurt out my angry response. I am rarely angry. I need a more graceful way to ID my baseline.
Well, it says, this to me sounds a little bit like it's kind of blurred between baseline and boundaries, right? If you feel like somebody's crossed your boundaries and get angry about that, because baseline is just you. So I guess if somebody's attacking you personally, that might be could be a layer of it. But I'm not sure that these are exactly the same things in my mind.
I wrote down that idea. The baseline is you. I think you're right. The baseline, I mean, yeah. So it's something to think about. I'm the opposite. My stillness overwhelms me. Oh, well. Hi, Mosaic Insight.
Yeah, it can be that too, kind of that sense of Eugen, right? That just amazing expansion that's just jaw-droppingly beautiful. Yeah.
Jane asks, can I find it in my current chaos? Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think you can.
Absolutely.
And you just need to have somebody, you just have to have some support, which will help. And you have to have a process that works well.
And I would also like to say that your current chaos may be serving a purpose that's important for you right now. So I think it might be more realistic to try and get to that point, that still point, but not have some unrealistic expectation that you're going to live there constantly for the next whatever period of time. Because, chaos magic, trickster magic, it's important, as above, so below. You got to have a balance. So I would be really I'd be really curious in unpacking how the chaos is serving you right now, and asking some questions about that, because it may be important.
Yeah. And there you go. It is always right there, even when you can't see it or feel it.
Absolutely. It doesn't change. Well, no, it's there. It may change, but it's there. Yes. It doesn't leave you.
Yeah. Okay. MLR said, wondering if our souls have a baseline that have to mesh with our personality baseline, or is it just inherent in what we bring into each life with us?
Oh, that's deep. What do you think?
I think MLR actually is deeper than they've been letting on. They've been hiding out for us. I think okay, I'm going to give that response that, well, no, I don't care if you like it or not. Maybe. It depends. Because if we look at this as if your timelines are linear and they don't cross, it may not be. However, if your timelines do cross, and as sometimes I do Akashic record readings and I see, oh, these 3 lifetimes have some similarities, that could be an opportunity for baseline. And that could be another reason where it could be another opportunity of exploration. What has worked for me before, and how can I do that moving forward? So MLR, that's great. And oh yeah, hypnicity, I love that. Another layer of wisdom.
So for me, the baseline, tapping into my baseline and understanding it, it's like when you're teaching your brand new pet what their name is by positive rewarding. When you say the name and they respond to it, you keep. So when you say your pet's name, that's how you connect to your pet, and your pet connects to you. I believe sitting in my baseline and acknowledging my baseline is me calling my soul, and my soul coming back to respond to me.
Ooh.
So to me, it's just, this is what it feels like to be in communion with whatever that essence of me that's much smarter, wiser, grander than I am. This is my space to meet with them.
I love that. Interesting way to put it. Meow. Yes. Yes. And Bobby Fierro Tarot is here, and I am on with him the next hour. Are you equating your baseline with remembering who you really are? No, I think it's the framework where I am right now and what I have. So yeah.
It's more a communication style for me, I guess.
Okay. And Okay, just getting caught up. Yeah, here you go. This is back from a while ago. Pamela said, absolutely, Betsy has authenticity. I appreciate that so much. And yeah.
I wish you were driving home with me yesterday with my friend when I said, I don't know why my 3D life can't look like my kumbaya. It doesn't always look the same, guys. I say some shit, man.
Yeah, that's all right. Linda Kelser's head was spinning this morning. So,
yeah.
All right.
And that full moon, everybody I knew. Gosh, last week my mermaid team were here in the parking lot, and everybody goes, "I'm not sleeping." Yeah, me either. I haven't been sleeping at all. What's going on? Full moon. Full moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nor should it, Betsy. And that's why Kaylee said EKG. It changes and shifts depending on where you're at. So, well, Julian, I go back to the beginning because there's a great idea of noticing your internal landscape as your baseline. So,
yeah, and on my YouTube channel, I did a walkthrough of this book that's intuitive development. What we're communicating here is how understanding your psychic energy body that is with you at all times, how understanding that can help you understand the way you receive information from the non-physical world that you communicate with. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
No big deal.
Yeah. And so T-Lyn said, heard wonderful message about finding inner peace and raising your frequency for the benefit of all on Nice Rock Shop YouTube. Makes total sense. So Betsy's channel is in the description. So it's there, but
yeah, if psychic or intuitive development isn't that important to you, you may not resonate with any of this stuff. So,
yeah, and that's okay.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah. So, Betsy, we are at just about an hour. And we've got in 2 weeks, we have another show scheduled. This is the Understanding Our Personal Baseline, and it'll be part 2. Oh, there you go. It'll be part 2. So, yeah, time does fly. I think what we're going to do is we'll try to do the. I think we'll do the. Maybe start off with noticing your internal landscape exercise, if that's good.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. We'll do walkthrough grounding, centering, and clearing space ceremony. Yes, it's because it's a bundle. It's cheaper to bundle, right?
It's cheaper to bundle, yes. And and tomorrow Betsy is on with me for another Laugh and Learn with Hershey the Shadow Reader. We're talking about being comfortable in the gray area. Mm-hmm. So. Deanne said, summary, how understanding your psychic energy body that is with you at all times helps you understand how you receive information from the non-physical world. Damn.
Callie, how'd you do that? That's amazing. Yeah.
I'm loving that.
Yeah.
Good. Trust me, I'm taking a screenshot of that one so that I can, we'll put that in there too. So that's awesome. Yep. Just recapping what Betsy said for everyone reading along or something. But
well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great summary. And I do appreciate everybody being here. Thank you so very much. And understand that this is for entertainment purposes only. It's also for opportunities for you to understand yourself a little bit more and to maybe hold space for other people as they are understanding themselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
I know in my lifetime, my journey intuitive development was just so haphazard and hit or miss. And I just always felt like I was out there floundering around by myself. And if I could have found a mentor or any, books I was in my late teens when all the metaphysical stuff exploded with the New Age stuff in America. So by that time, I just had struggled with so much. And I was so grateful for any bit of information I could find to help me get from point A one step further down the path. So it's like, I feel like if anything, any of my experiences might be helpful to someone out there, that's great. There's a million ways to achieve what you want in your life.
Yes.
And so different things resonate with different people for different reasons. And thank goodness, because that means options are available for all of us in a multitude of avenues.
Yes.
And what I say, it may sound like complete horse shit to somebody else, but then somebody else will come along someday and find just a nugget of truth that will carry them a step forward. And that's it. That's all I need to do in my life. If
and yeah, well said. And I appreciate you, Betsy, sharing space with me, because I'm always curious. I'm happy to talk about many different topics, because we don't have to agree. We just have to be respectful while we really understand what's going on. And I'm very fortunate that is what happens. And we do have a lot of laughter along the way. I mean, we do. And so, like MLR said, I found Seth Jane Roberts back in the 70s. And Julian is like, you all are amazing. Maybe I can learn something even if I watch for fun. Well, yeah. So, you just described Pamela's decade of the terrible 20s. So
the 80s, I'm a 1960 model, so I was literally 20 in the 80s. And that was a great decade to be in your 20s, man. Let me tell you.
Such good music and big hair.
The last hurrah.
Yes. So, all right. Any other last minute words before we head off, Betsy?
No, thank you all for being here and participating in the chat. I appreciate you all very, very much.
You are all wonderful. Betsy, you are amazing. You're fucking amazing. You're fan twerp worthy. Oh my freaking goodness.
Oh, the inner child in me just loved that one. Thank you.
Yes. And by the way, just for those of you who want to know, there is not a TarotStache fan available. They don't have it, but something cool will happen. It's okay. So, I do want to remind everybody, in a world where you could be anything, be kind. Thank you.